Now, finally, we are ready to do composite. So we have all this wonderful assortment of supplies that you should have, right? Tints, um, Nano Plus composite, which we'll be using as a base layer and do full contour with that. And then Incisal Light enamel layer, microfill. And that is going to be our surface layer. We have a bonding agent, Enamelize, which is absolutely fabulous polishing agent compound, and then brushes and bonding agents and uh, sculpt uh, liquid for sculpting composite. This is really handy. So we have a model that looks, allow my camera to focus. So if you don't have this prep model, or if you want to keep that wax, you want to prep uh, your model that will look something like this. I know this is very aggressive prep for composite bonding, but for our exercise, this is fine. So I don't have to, you guys already know how to acid etch and all that stuff, but thing that I like to do when I'm doing multiple composites is utilize this plumber's tape. You can get these from any hardware store. They're very inexpensive. And before you condition, especially when you're doing multiple teeth, make sure you don't get conditioner or etch on adjacent teeth. This makes life so much easier if you don't glue the teeth together. So before I etch, I get pieces of Teflon tape, and then I would apply conditioners, and then you bond. And when I'm bonding, I still like to leave this Teflon tape on there because I don't want the bonding agent to get on the adjacent teeth and stick the uh, composite bonding. Again, especially when you're doing multiple teeth. So let's do this. So let's pretend that we did the conditioning. And then we're going to get some bonding agent. And you guys could do that as I'm doing this. And we're going to liberally apply all over. I like actually, when I'm applying bonding agent, a brush instead of fudgy ballpoint, a bit more faster speed. And then I like to thin this out, okay? We don't want to pull off of it. So thin that out. And once we've done that, obviously we're gonna cure. So with our curing light, let's zap that. Let's cure about, I have a plasma arc light, so my cure is about 3 seconds, but depending on what type of light you have. So that's that. And the first layer we're going to do as a base layer, at this point you could remove this Teflon or plumber's tape. And the composites obviously come in these popular compules, but I really like these syringe forms. I feel like they're much more economical, and I don't have to keep telling assistants to pop the compule into the gun, okay? But for our purpose, since this is what we have, we're gonna squeeze this out. Before we apply composite, you can utilize this Mylar. So what Mylar is really good is sealing the lingual surface. So let's cut this Mylar into little strips. And I find it a little hard to place composite, so usually, depending on how I feel, I may apply this after I apply the base layer. So just kind of bend it so that it is facing towards adjacent teeth, not blocking my area that I'm trying to work. And whatever composite instruments you feel comfortable using is fine. There are so many out there. So this is kind of Mylars facing away from the tooth that I'm working on. And instead of squirting directly here, what I like to do when I'm doing a composite, I like to just, usually there's a little spot that's cured and hard. I discard that and then get the soft part, squeeze it out in my hand, and then I just roll it up, okay? Roll it up and just kind of flatten it with your finger. And then I just put it on the surface. And using the best instrument you have, which is your finger, I'll just dab this on. And if you have a little dust on your glove, usually by this time I would have changed my gloves. So I just dab it on with my finger first. And this instrument is really great instrument that I would highly encourage. I'm going to keep this away from the light. This instrument, this is a spatula, one end, and sort of oh, this is broken. I had a new one here. Let's see where I hit it. Oh, there it is. Here it is. The clinician's choice makes this. And the other end is like a little spoon that you can mash the composite. So what I normally like to do is get some sculpting liquid here. And then I just coat my instrument with this. You could use clear unfilled resin. I know there's some controversy about that, but it really hasn't affected the longevity of my composites, at least. So using this flat, I'm just dabbing these in, trying to remove all the voids. And then interproximally, I'm using this spatula part. Just remove this so you guys can see this a little better. I'm just sculpting this here into interproximal area. This is why I don't like to use Mylar. But Mylar is helpful for, so once you adapt it interproximal area, then you just very gently pull this Mylar towards the lingual and pull it out, and it seals the margin very nicely. Once that's done, you could refine the shaping of the composite. This is about 90%. The instrument I use about 90% for all composites. So I can cut this out. And then on incisal, very easily. You can remove excess. So I got the basic bulk shape already done. As this is very speedy process. And then there are multiple brushes out there, or silicone brushes that are really nice. When you use these brushes, it's kind of hard to clean. You have to rinse these with acetone liquid, uh, and obviously you cannot autoclave these. So, but you could use brush to smooth the surface, or again, you could get these from Clinician's Choice. These are silicone brush, and you could wipe these with a sterilization cloth or cold sterilize, I think. So you just smooth the surface using this. And when you're using this, you have to apply a little bit of pressure. Actually, this brush is about to fall out. Let me stick that in. Use this so much. Let me use another one. Actually, let me use the brush here because that's what you guys will be using. It's not really fair. I have stuff and you guys don't have stuff. So I'm just brushing these. And because I'm working on the light, this is already hardening. So you sculpt it. Yep, it's so let me cure this at this stage. So I got the basic shape ready. So let's cure this. That's not enough. Don't stare at the light. So this is my basic form I made. And you can see a little divot towards the incisal 1/3. So I'm just gonna add some more there. Okay. So let's get on this portion. I'm just gonna add, that's gone. So the time you spend popping these things on, it's just a little bit of frustrating point for me. So I just use syringe. So I got that on there, and before it starts to harden, let's blend that in real quick. So I'm using this flat instrument or spatula, just tacking it in. So now that divot is filled. Again, because you have gone through all the sequential neural network development, this process becomes so much easier. I'm just going to tap it with my finger. So that's basic bulk build per tooth. It doesn't take that long, does it? So let's set that. When you're picking the shade, obviously pick the shade before you dry the teeth out, and also try to pick a shade that is one shade lighter. Why? What I mean by lighter is one degree of value higher, because when you start adding tints and final microfill layer, it'll lower the value. All right. So now, because you haven't conditioned the adjacent teeth, at this stage, you can pop the connections or interproximal area with number 12. Just run through that real quick, and then you could floss these. And you could also carve a little bit interproximally with number 12, any flashes. So let's see if we could floss that. Yep, very easily goes through. Very nice. And we are ready to shape this.